Right, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. With the festive season weeks away, many South Africans will be heading for the coast or even out of the country. Every year, consumers inadvertently get themselves into a corner regarding their short-term insurance contracts, so they must ensure they are financially covered in the event of theft, loss or damage to avoid a critical holiday hangover. We're joined now by a Senior Assistant Ombudsman at OSTI, Mr. Peter Nkhuna. Thank you very much for coming to our program.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Right. Let's start with laying the foundation regarding the things that people are doing wrong during holidays, where they end up on the negative side or on the wrong side with insurance companies.
I think the one glaring issue that keeps on coming up often is we get excited, we consume things we shouldn't consume and then drive, for example, and then we cause accidents which can destroy people's lives and our own. You have an accident, most policies do not cover any losses that are a result of somebody that has consumed alcohol or drugs, and your claim will be declined, and the repercussions thereof could be quite dire.
Most of the time you'll find that people are not able to write a proper report to account for the actual incident, the way it happened, when it happened, and the timiest way of making sure that it's actually attended to by an insurance consultant. What is it that you are doing to mitigate the circumstances? Because other people are saying that they've had accidents that they didn't know about in their houses, only to find out that it occurred a long time when they were still on holiday, and when they come, the report time is actually not in line with the way it's stipulated in the contract.
No, look, I think in terms of the timelines, it's not such a big deal. As long as one is being honest in terms of their reporting, it is understood, I think, reasonably so, that during holiday periods, people will leave their homes and things can happen in their absence. So when you come back, you can just report it that I noticed on this day at this particular point in time, and that would be acceptable because it is understood that you would have been away from the home at the time. The problem is when people start fabricating things and moving dates around when they know those are not the correct dates. If you were honest up front to say, I was not home, I don't know exactly when it happened, but this is what I found on my return, I don't think any insurer would have issues with that. But if you made up a date or a time and it was found that what you're saying and the evidence available do not correspond, you could find yourself in trouble where your claim is not paid out.
Do you always need a police report?
I think that depends on the terms and conditions of a specific policy. A lot of times you will be required, and I think it's mainly to manage dishonest occurrences where people make up incidents, so that if you go to the police and you have to report this thing, it is assumed that a lot of people will have a little bit of difficulty going and lying under oath and things like that, and that is why you'd be required to make that report. But it's not always a requirement. It will depend on what the policy states.
There are some consumers who are saying that insurance companies have this tendency of behaving like holy cows, when actually they have to pay up. They are nice to people when they take insurances, when they're still paying premiums, but when there's a problem and they have to pay, they repudiate claims, they frustrate them, and actually consumers are so angry and fed up with insurance companies. What do you have to say to that?
Look, lucky enough in my work, I get to experience both sides of things. There are instances where we receive a complaint from a consumer, we look through that, and our finding is that the insurance company may have not been quite fair with the consumer. On the other hand, you also find people that have done really atrocious things, and it is therefore understandable that some of the...
So let's get to the issue of insurances being unfair to consumers. How does it get to that? Because I mean, the purpose of an insurance, if there has been a problem, is for them to pay up. Why do they give consumers a runaround?
I think part of the problem stems from people who may have preconceived ideas. You have certain people who have a belief that this is the case. Let's say you might find somebody that believes males are like this, and therefore, because you happen to be a male person, they already approach the matter with their own perceptions.
There's prejudice in that.
Sometimes, yes, you do find people that have got
Are
that.
people paid to have a percentage of repudiation?
We do know that there are instances where things like that are happening, where there is some sort of benefit that one derives from securing a rejection of a claim, yes.
All right, your parting shot then, what should people do to be on the right side of insurances this festive season?
Look, like we have said at the beginning, the first thing, always be honest. Immediately when you take up your policy throughout the lifespan of it, particularly for the holidays, I think let's start with motor vehicles. A lot of people buy cars around this time. Make sure that when you do that, your insurance cover is in place, because that's a lot of money to pay out should you end up in trouble and there is no cover in place. On the home front, make sure that your alarm systems are there. If there are burglar barring and security gate requirements, make sure that you meet those, because when you are away, should there be an incident and you are required to have those things in place and they are found not to have been there, your claim might be declined. When you buy new things, make sure that you add them onto your policy so that you're not underinsured, and then should there be a loss, you find that there's a big gap between what you get to be paid out and the loss that you have suffered. So just pay attention to all those things and make sure that your house is in order.
All right. Thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you, sir.
Right. We are speaking here to Mr. Peter Nkhuna, who is the Senior Assistant Ombudsman at the Ombudsman for Short-Term Insurance, right here on SA Today.